You might have heard of these ancient relics called arcade games. They're stories from your great-great-great-grandparents telling you how difficult the Ataris and Playboy magazine Game Boy machines were to beat. Well, I somehow tracked down one of these arcade machines, dusted it off with being the little entrepreneur I am, and set the goal of becoming the greatest arcade game player in the history of arcade game players. Gagpo for short. Has a nice little ring to it. Now the current Gagpo is this guy named Billy. He is our enemy. We shall dethrone Billy by beating every single arcade game on here, effectively making us the best arcade game player of all time. We're starting with the easiest games and then we'll work our way up gradually to the most difficult game on the machine. Now there are 60 games on this thing and with already pre-installed high scores that are actually quite difficult to beat. But I'm stopping at nothing until I beat every single arcade game on here. And after much anticipation, it was time to power this baby up. Oh yeah, I forgot it uses a cord. Here goes nothing. Yeah, it took about 5 minutes to boot up, but once it did, we had begun. I had no idea how long this challenge would take. In fact, I was prepared to give this as long as I needed, and let's just say, this could or could not be a bit of foreshadowing for you all. The first game we played was like a cereal brand knockoff of Galaga called Galaxian. Yeah, I beat that pretty easily. Game 2 was Dig Dug, dug a lot of holes. Game 3 was Crush Roller. You know, I'm trying to come up with a witty narration part for this game, but it just wasn't that fun. Game 4 was Mr. Doe, ate some cherries. No, that wasn't a cherry, it was a grape. It's like 2 a.m. right now, and I'm not trying to go to the store and get cherries. But I wanted the visual, so you're welcome. Game 5 I basically had an old-fashioned barbecue because we making burgers, baby, let's go. So yeah, I beat that game. Then we moved on to Ladybug, which apparently gives you good luck. This game was basically Pac-Man where I had to collect little spiders. Collected so many, even enough to beat the high score. But the rest of the day wasn't super exciting. So yeah, I'll probably just do one of those cool transitions. It is day number 2 right now and we are on game 16. Day 1, I grinded for like 5 hours and we only beat 16 arcade games. Which means today I really need to like focus on like what works about each game and what doesn't. Because once again, the games get harder and harder. So the time to beat each game moving forward will take longer and longer. So the game that we are starting off with today is Junior Pac-Man, which is basically just the precursor to the Pac-Man games, which are much harder to come. Which is basically just the precursor to the more difficult Pac-Man games which are to come later on in the video. Now I'm not gonna lie, this Junior Pac-Man game was giving me a run for my money. Like actually, where'd my flippin' wallet go? So as I try to find that, current me is trying to find out how to beat this Pango game. Panga Macarena. That was a bad joke, I'm so sorry. Well, I figured it out. You are supposed to push these blocks into those bad guys to take the dub. Now it took me a while, but I ended up winning. This next game that we're going to play is called Time Pilot. Now, this is like my childhood game. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a complete sweat on this game. I haven't played this in probably 5 years. However, I still know the strat in order to beat the game, basically. What you do is you try to kill as many planes as possible without passing the next level, because once you pass the level, it gets harder, so you wanna stay on like the easiest level for as long as you can and just like rack up the points. That's how you get the high score. And I definitely didn't look up a YouTube video to find this information. I 100% came up with this strat by myself because, well, I'm a genius. The current high score is 1.2 mil. Like, bro, that's light work. Easiest dub of my flippin' life. Yes, dude, let's go. Oh my gosh, it literally took me 2 hours to beat this one game. That's insane. After celebrating, it was time to get back to work. I had spent so much time on that game. Now prepare yourselves for the best video game compilation on the internet. I started plowing through games left and right. I began destroying Super Cobra, hitting the 8-ball in only once, getting chased down by extremely fast cars, playing Akanoid. Somehow I actually struggled with this one for a bit. After that, I grinded out the sequel to Mr. Doe called Mr. Doe Castle. Love the decorations they did with the place. Then dreamt about it in my wonderful slumber, which brings us to right now where these games are actually taking a lot longer than I thought they would take. The first game we were playing today is called Shaolin's Road. Now this game is basically the story of my life, except the main character has a bit smaller biceps than me. I played that for a while, popped some balloons in Van Car, and beat probably the game that took me the most amount of time called Gunsmoke. You know a game is gonna take a long time when there's an unskippable 30-second loading screen after every time you die. Like, bro, I have things to do, games to play, and guys to shoot. In this game, I mean. Yeah, so I literally spent 3 hours of my life grinding out this game. Death after death, rage after rage, but finally I had completed it. And now our total completed game count is 54 games, meaning we have 6 games left. I was so mad after the last one that I physically rage quit. Now it is... Oh hey, didn't see you there. It is our last day of trying to become the best arcade player of all time, hopefully. And as you can tell, I put on my orange jumpsuit to add some suspense. So right now we have a total of 6 games left on the arcade machine to beat. Now let me let you in on a little bit of a secret. Almost all of them are Pac-Man games, and all of them have super high scores. Except for the last one, which isn't Pac-Man, and its high score puts all of the other ones to shame. The reason why all these games are so much harder than all the previous games that we've played is not just because the high scores are all super high, but the current king holds all the world records in these games. So yeah, there's a little bit of added pressure. This was it, the home stretch of a 4-day long challenge. As you can probably tell, I'm exhausted, but I've made it this far, so failing right now basically isn't an option. These next 5 Pac-Man games were tough. Like, I spent so much time trying to figure out the best system of defeating the ghost, but every stinking time I would die right before getting a new life. Super upsetting. But once I figured it out, I kind of just plied through take after take until I won. So to bury the pain, I'm gonna just skip forward a little bit to me beating the final Pac-Man game, in which it is now time for the big reveal. But before we beat our final game, the real reason why I wanted to do this was not because I want to become the best arcade player of all time. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Nowadays, everybody is so focused on the new technologies of the metaverse and all. Like, people are literally living in VR for days at a time. And I want to show that life is more than just a cluster of pixels on a screen. I mean, back in the day, you used to literally be able to count the individual pixels in the screen. So if you take anything away from this video, it's that it doesn't matter what you are playing, but who you are playing with. I mean, throughout this entire video, I played loads of games. Exceptionally well, if I do say so myself. But I'd been alone. A few hundred years ago, back when these things were popular, people used to make meaningful connections by playing together in person, but now it's just through a screen. Just moving forward, and I know I need to work on this as well, try to enjoy the moments that you have at your fingertips now, instead of living your life through piece of technology that will become outdated in a few years. Except for when trying to beat the new Lego Star Wars game. In fact, I've actually been trying to beat them as well, but in terms of YouTube subscribers, so please subscribe and help me end this galactic war. And this was it. After playing over 30 hours, every single game was completed except for the last. Now, we are so close to overtaking Billy, but our work wasn't finished. The final game was Donkey Kong. Now, the reason why this game is so difficult is because my dad, yes, my dad is Brad Pitt, has spent the last 40 years of his life grinding out this game, and well, he has the high score. So now I'm battling against Billy and Brad Pitt for this W. Today alone, I've spent 5 hours grinding, and I was prepared to give another if I needed to. My eyes were hurting and my fingers were sore. After about 2.5 grueling hours, I was defeated. I died so many times that I was thinking about putting it in my Instagram bio, but I wasn't giving up. Oh my gosh, I just found my wallet. Thank God, I've been looking for this thing. Anyways, I was sweating, grinding, and hyper-focused. Let's just say I had so many beans in this basket, if that's a saying, and I spilled them. I'd utterly failed, but that's not what's important. The thing I'll take away from this is not the crown from Billy, but the lesson of being dedicated enough to give all I could. Now, I could have just faked this entire video, but I truly wanted to be transparent about how difficult and time-consuming this was. I'd beat 59 out of the 60 games and was disappointed in myself. But then I realized I had one last shot at redemption. Billy, I'm coming for you.